strange question, but is it ever okay to be self-centered? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know, but we're gonna talk about it. Stay tuned. Shani speaks now. Ooh, yeah. Shani speaks now. Ooh, Shani speaks now. It's Shani on Shani Speaks Now. Hey there, beautiful people. It's your girl Shani here, your little big sis, because I might be small in stature, but I am big on the sisterly love. And welcome to this week's edition of Always Keep the Faith Fridays, my favorite day of the week, where your girl does her best to get you from your work week, which hopefully was not too crazy or too stressful, into Friday, my favorite day of the week, going into your weekend, where I'm praying that you have some fun plans, or maybe you're just doing nothing, because that's also a plan, okay? I hope that you all are doing well, and thank you for being back here on my channel, the Shani Speaks Now channel. To all of my faith fam, thank you guys so much for continuing to watch and subscribe and to like and to check out all the different things that I may be doing. And to anyone that is here for the first time, I welcome you, and I hope that you too will subscribe and hit that notification button so that you can know what I have going on here. And of course, let's be friends. Connect with me on all the socials at Shani Speaks Now. And if you cannot listen or watch me, I should say, if you can't watch me here on YouTube, you can listen to me on your favorite podcast app. And that podcast is Shani Speaks Now, the podcast. I've gotten all of the business of the day out of the way. So let's get into this week's episode. So you're always hearing about all the different generational things. For several years, it was all about the millennials. Now there's more talk about the Gen Z and what they like and catering and marketing to them. But for a very long time, it was about the millennials. I am a millennial, and millennials are those that have basically been born around like 1980 to like 2000-ish, I believe. I'm not mistaken. I definitely know that's around the time frame. So if you're anywhere within that time frame, then you too are a millennial. Hello to you, my fellow millennial. But the reason why I bring this up is one of the things that you always see when it comes to generations is you're going to see shifts and differences. Definitely, we are different than our parents, and we're also different than the generation that's coming up behind us. One thing that I know for sure that millennials are known for is kind of being one of those last generations that's in between the age prior to the computers and prior to the internet and launching fully into the digital age. So we have a little bit of a very different perspective. I can remember taking typing classes like for the first time when I was in like middle school. I remember, AOL coming out and that being a thing, and, getting your first email. And then now I've been able to very easily adapt and adjust to the digital world and social media and all the things, even though sometimes they can be time consuming and get on my nerves, but I know how I can adapt to them. I think another thing that millennials are really known for is we value things a little bit differently than the generation before us. We're very big on being transparent, where, our parents, it was kind of like, keep your business to yourself. We're very big on being authentic. Even if that authentic self may not be the best self, but we'd rather show you who we really are than put on a mask and try to be something we're not. We're very big on being innovative. A lot of millennials have side jobs and side gigs. A lot of them are entrepreneurs, or they're balancing both a full-time position and some sort of e-commerce business, where, our families before us are very big on getting a solid job that you stay for, 20, 30, 40 years, and you start there and you leave there. So there's a lot of differences between us. Where am I going with all this? Well, one of the other things that unfortunately we've been labeled for is, I'd hate to say this because I do not feel that it reflects me, but we've been labeled for being lazy, too self-centered, and poorly prepared with no real aspirations. Ha! Uncouth people, a shame. But seriously, that is also some of the things that have been talked about where we're concerned. And I don't know where that comes from, because most of the people that at least I rock with are not that way. I feel like every generation has people that can fit those labels, but for whatever reason, it came on us. And I get it, because I think with digital media coming in, a lot of the harder labor jobs we may not have been about, because we're like, hey, if we can type it, or we can, create it, or we can social it, then why do we have to like sweat it out? So I mean, I get it to a certain extent, but it still worked none the same. But I will say one of the things that I love about our generation is I do think we have a good way of still honoring those from our past, even though we look towards the future. Also, I think we're looking at certain things in society a lot differently. We're not as quick to get married, not because we don't want to, but we want to have great marriages. So we're not doing it simply out of tradition, but do I really like this person? Do I really love this person? Can I build a life with this person? We're a lot bigger on therapy. Yes, prayer works, but we're also big on prayer plus therapy, or prayer plus counseling, or prayer plus getting some help from the outside. Where in the past, especially for those that have grown up in a more traditional setting, it's been more about, hey, Jesus can fix it. And he can. Trust me, I believe that. He's fixed many a thing. However, he's also created people with skills that he's given to help where that's concerned too. And we're very, very big at having a seat at the table, or creating a table for ourselves. And that may be where the aspect of being seen as self-centered may come about. But is there ever a good time to be self-centered? So you know me, I love a definition, and I decided to look up exactly what self-centered actually means. Self-centered, two definitions. One is independent of outside force or influence, self-sufficient, or concerned solely with one's own desires, needs, or interest. Now, I decided, if I'm looking up self-centered, why don't I also look up what centered means? And centered means emotionally stable and secure. Now, if you were to separate those two things and not just make it self-centered, but kind of like self-centered, it can look like you want to be emotionally stable and secure for yourself. See what I did there? Yeah, I flipped it. However, that is not normally how it's looked at. So when I thought about being self-centered, I personally don't believe that it's ever great to solely be concerned about your own needs, desires, or interests. I think it's really, really important for you to care about other people. Now, I do think it's not a bad thing necessarily to be self-sufficient. And what I mean by that is, I think especially for millennials, we're very innovative. So we like taking initiative. We like to sometimes have that kind of take charge attitude, and not necessarily to be bad or for it to be a negative thing, but we like to get things done. So sometimes we feel like it's a good thing to be self-sufficient. And I think that's also one of the things that parents work hard to kind of raise their child to be independent and self-sufficient to a certain point. But we all know that everything takes balance, and too much of a bad thing can lead to something that's not so great as well. And of course, as far as being centered, I don't think that's a terrible thing too. I think most of us would like to be as emotionally stable and secure as possible. However, if you live long enough, as the old people say, you'll realize that you're not always going to be centered. Okay? It just doesn't happen. Things are forever taking you off center, okay? There's gonna be something that comes up, and even in one day, you can go from being centered to being uncentered real quick. But when I really thought about it, there never really is a good time to be self-centered. And you know why? Because who you should really have in the center at all times is God in the center. Yeah, you knew that's where I was going with that. Or if you didn't, now you know. No matter what generation you're in, that is definitely a foolproof way of making sure that you are not necessarily making decisions based on just your own knowledge, based on your generational characteristics, or based on just what you solely want and desire. When you make God the center of what you do, then He is the one who's helping you make those decisions. And no matter what generation you come from, no matter what age you are, making God the center always makes a huge difference in how we move and go about this life. So if you find that you're struggling with certain attributes, stigmas, and characteristics that people are placing on you, whether it's because of the generation that you are or whether it's from some other defining factor, realize that if you put God at the center, a lot of that stuff dissipates. You don't even have to worry about it because you're not necessarily walking in your own strength and doing just what you want to do, but you're hopefully doing what He wants you to do as you allow Him to guide you. So what's this week's faith fact? Being God-centered instead of self-centered works no matter the generation. Listen, you can never go wrong with God at the center. It's just what it is. I mean, there's not much I even have to continue to say that I have not said already. But I will encourage you to check your heart and check yourself to see if that is truly the case for you. Now, are we going to do this perfectly all the time? No, we are human beings, okay? Flawed at best. However, I feel like if we make that what we focus on more than looking at what people think we're supposed to be or what we even think that we're supposed to be, and we focus on what we believe God wants us to be, I believe that not only will we have more peace, but we'll have more guidance and we'll have more direction and have a better way of understanding what we need to do in life. Hopefully that's something that makes sense to you, and that no matter what generation you may be watching this, this is something that you can learn from and appreciate. Well, that's it, guys, for this episode. I hope that you all enjoyed this week's edition of Always Keep the Faith Fridays. Continue to share, like, and if you have not already, to subscribe to this channel. Whenever I've got something going on, some vlogs, some interviews, some other episodes, you know I'm going to bring it to you right here. And you got to have the notifications on so you know when, all right? Or you might miss it, okay? Okay. But I love you all, and do not forget to follow me on all the socials at Shanice Speaks Now. And also remember that if you cannot watch, that you can listen on my podcast, Shanice Speaks Now, the podcast that is available wherever you love to listen to your podcast. You know how we end every episode, and that is with the motto that I've had for so long that I love. Always keep the faith and let the Lord fight your battles. Until next time, I love y'all. Have a great weekend ahead. Take care. Peace. Thanks for watching, Faith Fam. Be sure to subscribe, share, and like this episode, and I'll see you back on my channel soon.